does that become an insurmountable barrier? And if he starts to try to make change, and then he himself experiences those resistance or those barriers, is it then going to negatively impact his ability to function within the team? And of course, in the relief circuit or when you're an independent contractor, you're going to be subject to all of the cultures of all of the clinics at any given time in any week, essentially. And I think there's a couple of different ways to go about that, because it's very similar to what you guys are going to experience as new graduates, right? So it's coming out of school into a new environment. What is the expectations that are set? And I guess for me, I would sort of investigate that from a root cause standpoint. So we kind of talk about root cause as being, a Toyota model. A Toyota model is all stop, but root cause is, kind of.
It is technically the Toyota root cause problem solving method. So it's just in an intelligent way, you ask why the problem exists until you exhaust all of the why questions. So it's similar to actually I would say that people that go into professions like being a veterinarian are actually probably more apt to be good at it, because you can't just always solve a symptom, right? Sometimes the underlying cause has to go away. Well, then how do you do that in communication? And that's really what that system helps you work out.
Yeah. So it's to look at root cause and just ask why. I think a part of it is setting the expectation of what the job actually is when you're there. And I think where we often get challenged with setting that expectation is that we are intelligent people who can do a lot of stuff. So the question is, should we be doing a lot of stuff? So when we go into these practices, so whether it be as new graduates or as relief veterinarians, what position am I in to actually make a change in this environment? Because you guys will be faced with the same exact thing going as new graduates, right? Can I actually legitimately make a change, or at least a substantial change in this particular case, clinic or whatever it happens to be? So, one, I think, is kind of setting the expectation is that when he goes in, what does he sort of want out of it? So going into this clinic, is he comfortable putting food on the table? Meaning can he go in, can he do the job, can he get the money, and can he go home, and can he protect himself? And saying like, all right, well, this clinic has really bad culture, but I'm taking a break from clinic life. You know what, I'm just gonna go in there, I'm gonna do my job, and then I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna try to engage, I'm gonna protect myself from the culture of that environment. So a little bit of sort of what do you want out of it? But setting that expectation, it's like, well, I think I might actually be able to make a difference in this clinic. Well, I think all of us can make a difference in every clinic. That's my perception. But what are those actual barriers to making a change in those practices? So when he goes in on relief, if people are looking to him, right, that means what they're looking for is a leader. They're looking for a mentor. They don't have that in the practice currently. And is it appropriate that as an independent contractor, is it appropriate that going into this clinic, is he allowed to be a leader? Meaning, is he going to potentially lose that contract if he starts ruffling too many feathers? And I think it's a really delicate place to be. For me, it's a very similar path when I had gotten into, I was an associate veterinarian when I went up to central Wisconsin. And all I saw around me was exactly that. People were looking for a leader. There was no one there who was doing actual mentoring, teaching, leading of the staff, leading of pricing, any of that kind of stuff. There was other vets, of course, who worked there, but the staff was constantly looking to, well, who will listen? Who can help me? And I think that's when we talk about root cause. It's a matter of like, all right, well, why did these problems even exist to begin with? Is it because of an office manager issue? Is it a practice owner standpoint? Or is it just a circumstance where like legit, there isn't anyone there leading and there isn't anyone there doing culture management? So if it's something where he's going into the practice and maybe there isn't any direction at all, then he might not actually have a lot of barriers to kind of step up a little bit and be like, yeah, okay, what are the problems? Can we work on this stuff? And as an independent contractor going to the business owner saying, to continue to work here, it would benefit my process if we were more efficient. to work here. It would benefit my process if there was better culture. It would benefit my process if, so it's kind of setting that expectation, and then kind of creating that plan of, well, how are we actually going to do that? And I think what it becomes challenging is if you kind of have a bad apple, you know, whether it's an office manager or something else like that, is does that become an insurmountable barrier? And you know, if he starts to try to make change, and then he himself experiences those resistance or those barriers, is it then going to negatively impact his ability to function within the team? For me personally, like I said, I had kind of a similar path coming in. For me, fuck it, try. You know, what's the worst that could happen? They get mad at you for trying to make stuff better, you know, and wherever his career ends up taking him, of course, if he continues to do the relief circuit, you know, but what if by chance it happens to be an environment that's receptive to the change that he does suggest? And what if that then actually means it turns into long-term employment? And that's, I think we had talked about at the first session about coming out of school. What about if I run the relief circuit for the first 6 months or the first year out of school so that I can feel out these clinics and I can start to create issues lists and I can start to create and identify ways that I can make a substantial impact in that clinic. So it's kind of a very similar path, to be honest. But I think if the shoe were on the other foot, I'd just say fuck it and just try to do something. But again, I think the big thing is, again, it's making sure food's on the table, you know, making sure that he's getting out of it, he's getting that fulfillment out of it as well, and that it's not putting in more than you're getting out, because that's going to be exhausting at the end of the day. So,
or at least like not 100 and 0. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a perfect balance, but it should be good.
Yeah.